In this video, we're going to start with the utterly ridiculous and then move on to the absolutely inevitable. Of course, if you happen to be a Tesla short seller, you'd probably say we're starting with the absolutely inevitable and then moving on to the utterly ridiculous. First, a portfolio manager says Tesla could go bust. The same Tesla, by the way, that currently has close to $30 billion US dollars of cash and cash equivalents. One more time, $30 billion, which in my estimation is enough to weather 10 consecutive once-in-a-century storms, regardless of the actual business itself, even if the shit is hitting the fan. That is a lot of cash, a huge war chest. So I look forward to hearing why Tesla could go bust.
Totally disagree with this. Earnings are coming down very, very quickly. I totally agree with the description, unmitigated disaster. I think he meant really bad quarter. What I think here is that this was really the beginning of the end of the Tesla bubble, which probably arguably was the biggest stock market bubble in modern history. I actually think the stock...
Okay, just based on things we've just heard here, what are the odds this guy's actually short Tesla stock? It's a very different thing when somebody's a bit bearish on the company and negative. But we've just heard him claim that Tesla was the biggest bubble in the history of the stock market. Also say that this is the beginning of the end. Let's do some digging. Let's try and find out. This is the kind of stuff a deluded, self-identifying member of Tesla Q would say, as opposed to somebody that's just not a big fan of the company. There's a few tells, and already I'm a little bit suspicious here. What's this guy's name? Lekander. All right, let's find out. Well, surprise, a fucking prize. Didn't take much digging to discover that this guy, Per Lekander, is a hedge fund manager who has been shorting Tesla since 2020. How the fuck could I possibly have known this guy was actively shorting Tesla stock with just a few comments out of the gate? Answer: because A, you have to be absolutely fucking insane to be shorting Tesla stock. Like, mentally deranged. It's one thing to think the competition's coming, to be concerned about margins, not sure about demand. I get that, okay? But when you start saying things like biggest bubble in the history of the stock market and implying that it's the beginning of the end, it's almost as if this guy has an incentive to spread fear, uncertainty, and doubt to make money on his short position. Now, by the way, since 2020, I'm just going to highlight 2020 on the chart for you guys, just to put it in perspective. During 2020, Tesla stock surged about 700%. Now, we don't know exactly what part of the year he began shorting the stock, but the dude may certainly have had his financial rectum permanently disfigured as a result. Even if he went short on the last day, he could have held that position until Tesla stock had surged over 70%. If he's a genius with a crystal ball, it is possible if he went short at the absolute end of the year, they may actually be up on the short position. However, you've got to remember, shorting a stock accrues interest. It costs money to short a stock. So you're fighting against interest. You really want your short bet to pay off as soon as possible. Otherwise, the interest will kill you. So it's probably safe to say this guy's lost an excruciating amount of money betting against Tesla since 2020. Digging a bit deeper, Clean Energy Transition, which I'm presuming is the fund, has been short Tesla stock, meaning Lekander's firm will profit if the automaker's shares fall. Apparently in March 2021, he also called for a comeback of Volkswagen. Okay. Oh, here we go. And apparently he believes that the stock could fall to $14 per share. So that was a long detour, but kind of important. Sometimes I just hear something and I'm like, you know what? The brain damage, I can tell some brain damage is happening here. Therefore, must be short Tesla stock. Next minute, can confirm. It's like when you hear somebody say that Elon Musk is a fraud, right? Instant red flag. Out of their mind, probably short Tesla stock.
The company could go bust. And because
You think Tesla could go bust?
Yes, because you have to explain that, I have to reverse. What was the Tesla business model? 3 elements. Number one, for 10 years, they've said 50% annual revenue growth. That has been valid up to January. Second, integrate vertically, so you capture all the value from the car sales. Third, direct sales, no value to any retailer, etc. That's a brilliant model when you grow, because you have negative working capital, so you actually get paid for growing, and you capture all the margin. The problem is, when you go in the reverse and sales go down, it also goes in reverse. You have all the...
Now, what he is saying, in theory, is actually technically true. If electric vehicles suddenly they were a passing fad, oh fuck, then he might have a point. I guess he might actually think that electric vehicles are going away. Poor dude probably isn't aware of the predictable cost declines. Now, it is important to understand, folks, that when you short a stock, you can't just lose 100% of your initial capital. You can have infinite losses. You can wipe yourself out. So unlike being long a stock, buying and holding, you better be damn fucking sure you're right about your short and the stock collapsing, because there's asymmetric risk involved. It sounds like he's quite confident that Tesla's sales are going to collapse over time. Should we tell him or allow him to continue humiliating himself?
Fixed costs, which you have to spread on a smaller volume, and you also have the fact of that you have your negative working capital unwinding. So I think that the real shocker for the market here is going to be the actual numbers, which come in 2.5 weeks' time, because the market is thinking 2 billion positive cash flow. It's going to be minus 2 billion cash flow on my numbers. Next thing, I think most of the knives, etc., are believing that this was a bit of a one-off, and relating to what you said about arson attack or whatever. Let's face it. How does record high inventories go together with production problem? This is a demand problem, and it's a demand problem for a very simple reason. They are really selling 2 cars. Model 3 introduced 2017. Model Y introduced 2020. This year alone, Volkswagen, as an example, is introducing 30 new cars.
Is he serious now? Oh, fuck. A couple of things I just have to discuss here. First of all, the year in which these vehicles was first introduced doesn't fucking matter. Bro, the iPhone was introduced 15 years ago. People still buy them today. That's number one. Number two, awkward to have to point out, but Model Y is actually the world's best-selling vehicle of any kind, in any price range. Number one, the number of different vehicle models a company has on the market tells us nothing other than how much complexity is in their business and how little they will benefit from economies of scale on individual vehicle models. To suggest that Volkswagen, who claimed that they will have 30 new vehicles yesterday, to suggest that that's a strength relative to Tesla? What's this guy fucking talking about? Why doesn't Apple have 30 different variations of different phones? They have an iPhone and an A phone and a B phone and an X phone, a Z phone. What is this? I just don't know if this guy's actually serious anymore.
The majority of them being EVs. Competition is heating up. They have no new car until they say end of 2025, but more likely it's like 26. So what I'm saying here is that you had 9%, 8.5% year on year down on number of cars sold, and 20% quarter on quarter. I don't see any reason whatsoever to see any recovery over the next 2 years, given that these models are stale and given the economy is not rocketing. And so if you take, I'm having on quarter next, in 2 weeks' time, I have around 30 cents of earnings. Sure. Do that times 4, you are at 140. On a no-growth stocks, you should be at 10 times earnings. 10 times 140 means $14. That's probably a fair valuation. I think, however, Tesla cannot be at $14 if it falls under a certain level, because everything which been going on is going to go bust. You have so many cases of the lawsuits, class action. Either it's full safe driving, either it's the board, etc. So I don't know where that level is, but let's say it falls below 50. All that is going to play out.
Well, holy fuck. All I will say is good luck with your short. Certainly take some balls or some brain damage to make that bet, but okay. I wonder if he'll still be solvent a few years from now. Something robotaxis. Wait, did someone say robotaxis? Don't mind if I do. Talk about a contrast here. I mean, rest in peace that dude's entire reputation a few years from now. Tasha Keeney from Ark Invest has some thoughts about Tesla's Robotaxi.
Tickers, investors plugging into Tesla after CEO Elon Musk made an announcement on X, writing that the company will be unveiling a robotaxi on August 8th. So for more on this, we're joined by Tasha Keeney, Ark Invest analyst. Tasha, always great to see you here. Thanks for joining us on a Monday morning. So I think by this time we're thinking, okay, August 8th, he must have it down. But we've been told about this, teased about this before in 2020, going back all the time when Elon Musk was talking about 1 million robotaxis. So what should we expect on August 8th here in the great reveal?
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right that, one common criticism of Tesla is that they've been talking about robotaxis for a long time. And the question is, okay, well, where is it? Well, I actually think we've seen a lot of progress over the past few years, notably in their full self-driving software. that they released to consumers, and they just took that out of beta mode, right, and allowed a lot more people access to the latest version of the software. And what we're seeing in the videos that many people are posting online is that it's already possible to complete, nearly full drives fully autonomously, right? So there's still someone behind the wheel, they have their hands there just in case. It's not perfect, so that, it's not quite perfect yet, but I think that we're closer than ever. And I think that, we take confidence in all the improvements that we've seen in AI over the past few years as well. I mean, that has to help autonomous driving. We do see early elements of some things, some improvements that we've seen from large language models, for instance, bleeding over into the development work that's happening for autonomous driving. So we're really more excited than ever. I mean, we think this is going to drive the future value of Tesla when we look out 5 years. We think it'll be 2/3 of the enterprise value in 5 years. So we're super excited about it. Can't wait for August.
And Tasha, 2/3 of it is going to be driven by robotaxis, correct?
Correct.
2/3 of the value.
Exactly.
Tasha, when using history as a guide here, from when Elon Musk has unveiled prototypes in the past, and then the timeline between that to when Tesla actually starts production, what does that timeline look like? And do you think it's going to be a similar type of timeline this time around?
Yeah, so they've said that they were planning on mass producing this car in 2025. We have heard a few things. There's I think two kind of separate things here, right? There's what they're talking about is the $25,000 car, which I think could actually be the same platform as Robotaxi.
Spoiler alert, will be the same platform. Absolutely, unequivocally, 420% probability. It's the same fucking platform. I got to say, it's actually nice to hear finance media discussing a robotaxi now, not completely laughing the idea out of the room. Still, low-key laughing at everything that Ark say. After all, they're on the record. Their almost year-old valuation for Tesla for 2027 was $2,000 per share, well over 10x from where we are today. Meanwhile, the guest we heard earlier, who's currently shorting Tesla stock and has been since 2020, rest in peace, his financial anus, believes the stock could go to $14 per share. But if it gets below 50, the company will go bankrupt. I think that's what he alluded to. What are the odds that he doesn't think Robotaxi is going to happen? Or what are the odds that he's seen videos of the vehicle driving itself intervention-free and hasn't been able to join the dots and realize that that's stunning and we're on the cusp?
And it's a question of whether or not that's a car for the consumer versus just these cars are going in fleets that are then being operated by Tesla and potentially longer term an operating partner that owns and maintains the vehicles for robotaxis. So I think, that it's totally possible that potentially could be delayed from the initial timeline. But the real question is actually when the software will be ready, right? Because the Teslas that are on the road today already have the capability to be turned into fully autonomous vehicles, once those software updates are layered on and sent over the air. So I think, whether or not, the Robotaxi prototype that we see gets unveiled on time is a question of when will they launch the Robotaxi network. Mm-hmm. So I think that this announcement shows their confidence in that platform, which is really exciting. So that's what we're looking for the next 5 years. When can I take my hands off the wheel in my Tesla? And I think it'll be sooner than you expect.
I've been talking about this for 10 years on these programs, so it's nice to hear that it's finally imminent. Can you talk to us about the importance of IP that Elon Musk has talked about previously, and how IP is key to full service driving, which is key to your investment thesis here that is 2/3 robotaxis? What is the moat that Elon Musk has established for Tesla in the domain of intellectual property?
This is a good question for a general audience that may not be aware of this, e.g. people watching Yahoo Finance to learn things. Like a really good question. Because if you don't believe that Tesla has a moat of any kind, e.g. everyone else will instantly catch up to Tesla with their own robotaxis, you might not see the potential and the likely outcomes here. But if you understand, and I'm sure Tasha's going to mention it, Tesla's unassailable data lead, the data flywheel, the auto labeling, the AI team, the fleet of vehicles, $250 billion of hardware on roads covered in sensors collecting data, training compute, the inference computer, on and on and on and on. If you understand that stuff, unless you're a short seller and you see what the software's already doing on roads, can understand what progress is and project into the future, that's the point where you're probably going to shit the bed and go, holy fuck. That's why everyone keeps talking about robotaxis.
I'm so glad you asked that question because this is really what we're most excited about for Tesla's opportunity in autonomous driving. They have an unparalleled data advantage compared to every other company that's solving for full autonomy. They just released on Twitter a graph showing the number of miles that they've that customers have driven in full self-driving. We think that they get, access to roughly 2.5 million miles a day of customer data that they can potentially use to train their system. I mean, when you look at companies like Waymo, that are like passing roughly like a little over 10 million miles in the total lifetime of the project versus 2.5 million a day. I mean, that's unprecedented. And data.
Man, did you hear the inflection in Tasha's voice when she was mentioning the piddly amount of data these companies have collected relative to Tesla? Again, this is great question. Tasha acknowledged it as well. And it is really important to understand. And I think a lot of people don't understand. People who are selling Tesla, trimming Tesla, waiting to buy the dip and so on. It's so painfully obvious that Tesla has won this race. There's no catching up. It is now a matter of when, not if. And as Ark like to point out, it is a winner takes most market. I believe Tasha described Tesla's data leaders unparalleled, close enough to unassailable, same shit.
Is really key here in a lot of AI applications, proprietary data. And so we think that this is what could allow Tesla to be one of the first companies to scale. And that's really important because we think that the majority of the economics in robotaxis, and this is actually in our latest Big Ideas deck that we published this year, our annual research deck, the majority of the economics will accrue to the players who are able to tackle, the first half of urban miles traveled with autonomous driving platforms. So I think, Tesla's both production scale, the number of cars on the road, as well as that data advantage, really, they're a dangerous competitor here. So I'd be nervous if I was another autonomous driving company.
That's a fairly delicate and compliant way of saying that everyone else is fucked. Interestingly, by the way, because I roasted Ark maybe a year or two ago when they bought GM stock because of GM's investment in Cruise. Roasted them relentlessly. Not sure what the hell they were thinking. Anyway, here we are. Tesla on the cusp of unlocking a $10-trillion opportunity with an unassailable lead. Musk banging the drum. Ark Invest banging the drum. And earlier in this video, we saw somebody who, I guess, thinks Tesla is just a car company, has no AI products, no technology, and is putting his money where his mouth is and or his clients' money where his mouth is. Not sure that's going to end well. Want more content? Early access? Bunch of perks, click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 has given me a massive, meaningful boost in energy, allowing me to do a lot more every day, including using my brain more and using my body more. I highly recommend you guys and girls check it out. It's an excellent way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's got 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus prebiotics and probiotics and digestive enzymes and adaptogens to help you deal with stress. Plus, if you click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR, you can get yourself a 1-year free supply of vitamin D3 and K2. But don't take my word for it. Here's what some of you guys and girls have to say. AG1 has changed my life. I was, as you described, treating myself like a circus, ate like trash, rarely exercised, used alcohol as a stress crutch, cannabis also. AG1 is what gave me the kick in the ass, got me back to the gym, motivated me to do more for myself, family, my business, etc. Keep doing what you do. Now, I know there's some skeptics, the same kind of people who think Elon Musk is a fraud, reading this going, what do you thought? There's no way that's possible, bro. It must be a placebo effect. Believe it or not, this is a recurring theme. If you give your body everything it needs to feel and perform its best, including having a lot more energy, you'll need ways to use that energy. For me personally, that includes more exercise, moving my body more social activity, and more cognitively demanding tasks, including producing a fuck ton of exclusive content over on Twitter and on Patreon, plus my daily YouTube uploads. The proof's in the pudding. On to another testimonial from a viewer of this channel. SMR, you asked me to provide feedback on AG1. Here it is. It has helped with mental acuity, stamina, and intestinal waste management. Can't read between the lines. It certainly helps with regularity and digestion. That's what the digestive enzymes are for. It has also dramatically reduced my cravings for sugar. You guys need to stop eating sugar. It's fucking poison. I'm 50, 5'9", and overweight, aka a fat motherfucker. I think that's a technical term for overweight, isn't it? Is it fat motherfucker or obese? I can't remember. I average 100 hours a week in the West Texas oil fields as a safety supervisor. Jesus Christ, dude. No wonder you're struggling to keep your weight under control. 100 hours a week. Brutal. It has helped me lose weight. It is not an appetite suppressant. It can help fat people suppress cravings, and motivation to be healthier is critical for changing your diet. Love you, brother. Again, this is a great point. It's something people really don't seem to grasp. If you have more energy everything becomes easier. It's like turning on easy mode for life. A few years ago, before I was taking AG1, my health was trash. I was struggling to get through the day, had afternoon fatigue. The last thing I wanted to do was either use my brain or move my body. Didn't have the energy. Now, my biggest struggle every day is figuring out ways to use that energy. I'm exercising way more, doing a lot more with my friends and family, and of course, my work output has increased substantially. And you can fact check me. Check out the average length of my videos I was posting to YouTube 3 years ago. Need I say more? And one final testimonial. Love this one. Okay, here's the deal for me with this AG1 shit. I'm 41 years old and not the type to eat, drink, smoke, or sleep healthy, so I was skeptical. That being said, here's what I experienced. Day 1, meh. Day 2, afternoon fatigue was about 45 minutes late. Day 3, 0 afternoon fatigue. Day 4, 0 afternoon fatigue plus extra energy. Day 5, again, 0 afternoon fatigue plus energy, wondering, what the fuck, really? See, this is the thing, right? The results for many people are just almost too good to be true. This is the same experience I had. My afternoon fatigue just vanished out of nowhere. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Why am I not tired in the afternoons anymore? Surely, it's not that AG1, is it? Turns out it was. Day 6 and 7, same thing. Day 8, same thing. Plus, I had the want to get things done around the house that I normally would slack off and not get done. Again, the point, extra energy, you'll need to use it, you'll find ways to use it. Day 9, 10, and 11, and today is day 12. I fucking love it. So however you managed to get me to buy it, I'm so glad you did. Thank you so much, SMR. It really changed me so far. Guys, this shit really works. Just try it. By the way, this is the reason I continue to relentlessly promote AG1. A lot of people get real fucking mad in the comments. Oh my God, Snake Oil Salmon's sold out. Oh my God, he's a scammer. This is fraud. But constantly, I'm pretty sure everyone making these comments is also currently short Tesla stock. I'm not particularly concerned about people having a negative perception, those folks suffering from small brain syndrome, still living in my bum's basement syndrome, etc., writing mean comments, claiming AG1's a scam or it doesn't work. I mean, bro, when I get feedback like this is what keeps me going. Just try this stuff for a month, and if you don't get these results, get your money back. See, it's a literal no-brainer. It's an IQ test at this point in time. Testimonial after testimonial after testimonial like this. Get your money back if it doesn't work. Just try it for a month, and if it doesn't work, get your money back. Today's the day. It's finally time. Be like this guy who was a massive skeptic, but finally, after 1,000 promotions in a row, caved in, tried AG1, and has results like this. Head to drinkag1.com/SMR or click the link in the pinned comment, and please, let me know how you're feeling in a few weeks' time. Now, if you'll excuse me, time to put my extra energy to good use. I'll be recording some more exclusive content for Patreon and my Twitter subscribers. So click the links in the pinned comment, see you over on Twitter and or Patreon, and don't forget to grab your AG1. Love ya.